Welcome. Session 1, Marriage Hope. Here we go. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you. I'm excited to encourage and inspire you to grow as an individual, as a wife, as a person. You're not alone. Marriage is challenging, but it is worth fighting for. The first thing we're going to talk about today is your focus. What are you focused on? What are your thoughts focused on? Philippians 4:8 says, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. There's an author, Daniel Goleman, who writes in his book, Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. He says, you are what you think, you become what you think, and what you think becomes reality. I ask you, what are you focused on? What are the things you tell yourself every day, multiple times a day? Are they good things? Are they bad things? Are they things you shouldn't be thinking about? Are they things that are good and healthy to think about? We all mess up and want acceptance. Your husband wants this too. And if you are constantly putting him down and pointing out his shortcomings or his words or actions that you haven't liked, you will get a broken down spouse. And no more than you would want that from him, I want you to think about if that is something that would describe you toward him. The idea of grace is something that we all need and we all seek. When I mess up or I say something that I didn't mean to say or unintentionally hurt someone, I always want grace. I always want people to think, oh, she didn't mean that, and not really be that bothered by it. But it's funny, we want that for ourselves, but it's funny how hard it can be to extend that to others. And sometimes it's hard to extend that to your husband. I know that, I get that. And we think that if they loved us, if they really loved us, they wouldn't have said that, or they wouldn't have done that, or they would be more helpful, or there could be a whole list. But in the same way that we would want people to extend grace or a little bit of slack for us, we need to be careful that we're offering it as well. The grace we expect, we need to extend. We need to remember that our husband would like that same grace, and whether or not you are getting from him what you want in terms of his words or his actions, you can be a role model. I have seen the influence wives have in their marriages, in their homes and families, and it's incredible and cannot be underestimated. So everybody's watching you, and how you act and speak makes a difference. You have a lot more influence than you think. So be a role model of extending grace. The next thing that I want to talk a little bit about is kindness and being kind. That is one thing that each of us individually have total control over. We have control over extending kindness to people, extending kindness to our spouse, to our husband. You can decide today that you will be kind, always. Even in the midst of circumstances that you may or may not be totally thrilled with, we always can extend and choose kindness. As an adult, there's never a time when it's okay not to be kind. We all know what it feels like to not have kindness spoken to us, done to us, and it's not a good feeling, and we don't I mean, do you want to be part of that, where you're not extending kindness and you're part of someone feeling pretty awful about the way they've been treated? I don't. I know you expect your spouse to be kind to you, and so, and it's easy to get frustrated when kindness is not given. It may be that your marriage has become an atmosphere where neither of you is kind to each other, but you be kind and watch what the response is, and I think you'll be surprised because of your influence. It will make a tremendous impact on your marriage. Wives don't realize that, I really believe that wives don't realize the influence that we have over the atmosphere in our home and in our marriage. Being grumpy and short with everyone becomes easy because we get frustrated. We have a lot on our plates. Some of it's obligation. I get that. I know that. And some of it we put on our own plates, and then we get frustrated that our plates are so full. 2 Timothy 2:23 and 24 says, "Don't have anything to do with foolish and stupid arguments, because you know they produce quarrels. And the Lord's servant must not quarrel. Instead, she must be kind to everyone, able to teach, and not resentful." And I know, easier said than done, but it does start with that first time that your bubble is bumped and you have a choice of how you're going to respond. And I think we can always be in charge of ourselves and our reaction, and we can always be kind. Sometimes we can't do much else, but we can be kind in our response. Because the enemy doesn't want your marriage to succeed, you will be worked on in the coming weeks. I'm very proud of you for doing this study, because it's easier to do nothing in life and just sort of, get out when it gets hard. But I promise you, it will be worth it. I think you're going to love the things that you're going to learn about yourself, and the way that you can have a different perspective on just about any area of your life, not just your marriage. It's going to be a really interesting journey for you, I think. If I could speak for the past times I've done this study and for myself, you're gonna learn a lot about yourself and the way that you process what happens to you, and the way that you take what has happened to you in the past and bring it into now, and a lot of different things. But doing this study is going to make the enemy kind of come at you, and that's almost, I hope that gives you hope and doesn't make you scared to do it, because then you'll know you're on the right track. You'll know that you are doing something that is going to be meaningful, is going to be good and helpful. And he'll move on to an easier target if he sees your determination. Think of someone you know who seems to be in a good marriage, if you don't consider yours a good marriage right now. I'm guessing you see this person that you can think of as being kind to their spouse, or kind to each other if you're thinking of a married couple. If you don't know where to start and you find yourself frustrated and you don't know how to change your focus or be kind, try to think how you imagine this couple that is kind to each other, how they would deal in a similar situation. And that might help. If you think how they might respond to each other, or how you've heard them respond to each other. If you've been around them very much, you've seen them, or they could have been frustrated with each other. Maybe you're close with them and can ask them how they deal with such and such. But be careful who you confide in about your marriage. It must be someone worthy of that trust. Do you trust them to keep it confidential and not tell other people? Do you hear this person that you might confide in speaking kindly of other people? That's a big indicator of if someone can be trusted with information or with your private life. And a word of caution. I know that there are many schools of thought on this, but never confide in a man who is not your husband about your marriage. The exceptions might be your father or your brother, but confiding in a man who is not your husband is a door open to an affair. A ripe environment for an affair would be to emotionally connect with someone where they show you empathy and kindness and caring. Don't tempt this slow marriage killer. It's innocent at first, but it will kill and destroy. If you've done this, stop immediately and find a girlfriend to talk to. Message me. Again, the enemy doesn't want your marriage to succeed. His tactics are to distract you and to discourage you. Joyce Meyer says it this way: the devil is not just looking for an open door, he is looking for any little crack he can crawl through. The more we do what pleases God, think what pleases God, the narrower the enemy's path becomes. So, we're going to work on hope. We're going to work on your focus. We're going to work on being kind. We're going to fight for our joy and fight for our marriage. It can start with you. You have tremendous influence. You are important. You are loved. You are valued. I want you to have hope. Stick with me and do the homework assignments for this week. I'm so excited for what you will discover through them. I've done them myself. I've seen many women do each of these different assignments. They're all on purpose, and they are to encourage and inspire you toward growing in love and grace and peace and hope.